Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. We're just popping on a couple of minutes early because of all the severe weather that is going on, plus the fact that we're both at risk now of losing our power. But let's get right to what's going on, Joe Rayo, because it is absolutely nuts outside. It's astounding to me that we're getting, we had a hurricane come with, from 2 weeks ago. It was a rain event, but really not much else. And it took a Gulf storm, albeit one of mammoth proportions, to bring conditions here that are far worse now than they were with Henri. And we have had numerous tornado warnings in New Jersey. Timothy Veltman, you'll see it on the screen, Joe. Timothy Veltman put up a couple of tweets there, and this is in Malika Hill in Gloucester County in South Jersey. Look at this tornado. And this is, by the way, it was courtesy.
We got a major tornado coming this way.
There you go. This was from Zach at _Zach with the capital ZT3. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Wow. And then take a look at this. This is from New Jersey Weather News. I hope you're okay with us showing this, your tweet. And their handle is at NJWX News. These are in trailers, Joe, as Timothy pointed out.
This is definitely a tornado.
Look at this. This is just crazy stuff. Look at that.
Look at that. Wow. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and the radar, this is the Fort Dix radar. I'm going to give it a quick refresh here. I've been refreshing it every couple of minutes. We're down to one tornado warning now in and around, I can't even see the name of the town that it's over. And it looks like it's near Trenton. So we have Trenton is inside that tornado warning, and that actually may be the same tornado. If you look at the tornado warning, the box that's further south, that's where Malika County is in Gloucester County, and it's been moving northeastward, and now it's centered over near Trenton. Really just insane. Wait till we get the post-analysis on this one. And there are some big cells west of Philadelphia. There's a severe thunderstorm warning up for several counties in New Jersey. We'll go over all of that. The entire northern half of the state is under a flash flood warning, as is all of eastern Pennsylvania. And now we're getting flash flood warnings up for Long Island, for Nassau and western Suffolk, and on up in the Hudson Valley and in Orange and Sullivan counties, and also in Fairfield County and up in Litchfield County, all under flash flood warnings now with all this heavy rain that we're getting. And we got a ways to go yet with all of this.
Absolutely. It looks like we may be dealing with this for the next 5 or 6 hours, folks. 5 or 6 hours until the center of what is left of Ida. I shouldn't even say what is left. She has held on to her characteristics very well. I mean, she's an extratropical system now, but she's no big bundle of clouds and scattered rains. This is a very potent, very robust system, and it looks like it's going to be moving or making its passage literally over the tri-state area, Joe, by or soon after midnight tonight. It looks like the warm front associated or affiliated with Ida is wavering right over the tri-state area and even perhaps lifting now or trying to lift north of Long Island. That's probably why Long Island, northern Jersey, the New York City area, and even into the lower Hudson Valley now are under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And what you've been seeing now down in New Jersey, that could very easily in the coming hours shift east-northeastward across portions of the immediate tri-state area. Wow.
That's crazy. This is the first time I've been doing videos on YouTube since 2016. So for 5 years, and this is the first time that I've done a live, or that you and I have done our show with a tornado watch up. I mean, we've had severe weather, But I can't recall having a tornado watch, certainly in an instance like this, but I guess is a first for everything. Here's the Upton radar, by the way, and you're seeing a lot of downpours and a couple of thunderstorms gelling up now across Long Island, getting ready to move up into Connecticut. The yellows indicating moderate to heavy rain in the Hudson Valley, and of course you see the boxes down to the south with regards to that Malika Hill in Gloucester County, New Jersey tornado that we saw. I mean, it really is just nuts. I'm going to go to Tornado HQ. I kind of feel like we have a cross now between the Gulf Coast and Nebraska going on with all the severe weather that we're seeing. So let's run through. I'm going to run through a couple of them. There's 5 minutes ago. There's the tornado warning that we showed you around Trenton. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Lawrenceville or near Trenton, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. And the warning counties are Mercer, Middlesex, Morris, and Somerset counties. Just a few minutes before that, that was issued at 7:28, so it's now 7:33 Eastern time. At 7:21, we had a tornado warning capable of producing a tornado located over Ivyland or 15 miles west of Trenton, moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. And those counties are Hunterdon, Mercer, and Bucks counties. So that's what we have working at the moment. I'm just going to go back to now the Malika Hill tornado warning has expired. That expired 4 minutes ago, and this is what the Weather Service statement said at 7:02 p.m. A confirmed large and destructive tornado was observed over Beverly, or 12 miles southwest of Trenton, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. So
would you say by that description we're talking about an EF3, perhaps?
Well, looking at that destruction that on that video, that's either a 2 or a 3. I mean, it's got to be either a 2 or a 3.
Right.
You know, you got to think it's a. You know, I'm not a good judge of. I mean, we're looking just at those shots that we saw. I mean, you're taking off whole floors from two-story colonials or even taller colonial homes there that are probably relatively well built. I'm gonna say at the very least it's an EF2 and maybe an EF3, but we'll find out probably tomorrow what exactly it is. And I'm just gonna freshen this up, see if everything is happening so quickly. And we're not getting the flash flood warnings on this. We're just getting the severe weather warnings. And let's get this a little bit closer. And let's look at this. Okay, so now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning this is for Union County in New Jersey, located over Manville or over Somerville, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. And also don't want to ignore our folks down south, down in Maryland, that have been getting also quite a bit of severe weather that came a little earlier, but there's still some going on. A new severe thunderstorm warning in Maryland, located near the University of Maryland and Maryland Eastern Shore, moving northeast at 35. So that's for Somerset, Wicomico. I hope I said that right. And Worcester counties, and Somerset, Wicomico, and Worcester counties in Maryland. Okay, just to make the distinction there between Somerset County in Maryland and Somerset County in New Jersey.
It has been quite an afternoon, and again, what can I tell you except that we're only now getting ready to move into the worst of this in the immediate tri-state area. And we've been looking over the last day or two about the model guidance, strongly red flagging the time frame from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. And that has held through right on through up until a few hours ago, Joe. So it looks like we're all just going to have to batten down. What I think is going to happen is that once the center of this system, Ida, extratropical Ida, moves past your specific area, wherever you may be, off to the east and north of your area, you're going to see a very dramatic shift in the winds, accompanied by some very dramatic straight wind gusts. I could see winds gusting past at least 40 miles an hour, first from the east and then swinging on into the north. And it is those gusts, however brief they may last, combined with the very heavy rain. And I'm talking about, toward the end. So, maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when you're going to see the most potent winds in your area, probably. And that having been said, aside from the convective activity, places to the south of the track of the storm, which may indeed see severe weather, thunderstorms, even perhaps a tornado, that is where I think the worst of this is going to be. We're going to have the combination of, again, all of that heavy rain, but also those very strong wind gusts later tonight and in the next few hours, let's say on toward 10, 11 o'clock, midnight or thereabouts. And that's when you're going to see the winds pick up, do that dramatic shift from, again, east into the north. And as they're shifting and those winds are gusting, that's when you'll have to be concerned about maybe a couple of trees being brought down, some power lines, power outages, certainly. The worst is yet to come. And again, that's ahead of us. Hopefully all of us will get past midnight to, let's say, 1, 2 in the morning, because after that, amazingly, I think everything is going to calm down very quickly. I mean, in terms of the rain and in terms of the wind. And tomorrow, after some early clouds, tomorrow looks like it's going to evolve into a really gorgeous fall-like day with temps in the low 70s, deep blue skies, and brilliant sunshine. But in order to get that lovely weather, we're going to have to pay the price, pay the fiddler, so to speak. And the fiddler is certainly doing his thing right now and will continue for the next 4 or 5 hours at least.
I'm going to bring it up here. If you go to nhc.noaa.gov, and you were mentioning about Ida, they're still putting out advisories, by the way. This is coming out of WPC. So at 5 o'clock, post-tropical cyclone Ida bringing widespread heavy rain, etc. We already know. It was at 39.7 north, 77.0 west, or about 35 miles east of Hagerstown, Maryland, the low center, or about 35 miles south of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They actually increased the winds. They were only carrying 25-mile-an-hour winds sustained on these advisories, but now maximum sustained winds are 35 miles an hour, moving east-northeast, Joe. That's kind of interesting that the low center is moving east-northeast at 065 degrees at 25 miles an hour. Kind of makes you wonder that the low center is probably going to go either right over or right under New York City and Long Island before it's all said and done. Certainly with the turn of the wind to the east would kind of make you think, and then going to the north, that the low center is going to go just to the south and east of New York City and Long Island after the consternation. Actually, when you think about it, the setup today was interesting in how things evolved, because up until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if you looked at the radars if you looked at the local radars here, and say you drew a line across Route 78, there was nothing, not a shred, not an echo, all the way down New Jersey, and they probably had. I didn't even check to see how high the temperatures got, but I bet you they got into the 80s. Because I know they had some sunshine in parts of New Jersey, in South Jersey during this afternoon. So the daytime heating must have been, all that did was really juice the atmosphere up even more, and made it even more unstable. And, kudos to SPC yesterday for going with that bold forecasts, bold in the sense that because we don't normally see 10% tornado risk in this area, but the enhanced risk of severe and the 10% tornado risk, which they actually nudged even further north this morning on their updates. Great job, and great job on the severe weather, the severe weather part of this.
Right. In fact, I had somebody on Facebook comment after I posted something about Ida. Said, and it was from Philadelphia, and he said, "Oh, right now just lots of sunshine here, the lovely afternoon." And I wrote back to him. I said, "That's the absolute worst thing that you could have right now is sunshine. It's only going to heat up an already very unstable atmosphere, And now with the catalyst being a former tropical cyclone heading in your direction, and the upper level disturbance that is joining forces with that, I mean, that's going to spell real trouble. And then I pointed out to him, I said, you know, you're right in the middle of a tornado watch. Philadelphia is like right in the bullseye area. And that's when he came back and he says, oh, okay, well, and then
Gotta
about an
go.
hour or two,
Bye.
about an hour or two later, he came back and he showed me, took some pictures. He said, it's getting awfully dark out there. I said, well, take cover, man, take cover. It is not looking good for you. Joe, I still have, believe it or not, it is September 1st, and I was told that I would no longer have access to Futurecast models, but I still have access as of today. So
Okay.
why don't I just put the Futurecast up? This is the 21Z Futurecast,
All
and
right.
rather than run the loop, which what I'll do is I'll simply go frame by frame. Now this is it starts off at
Hang on, Joe.
2130Z.
Just a second.
Right,
Just give
right,
me a
okay.
second here, and I will bring it up on the screen. It should be there
And
now. So
all right. So what you see on the screen is 2130. At least that's where this sequence begins. 2130, which is what 5:30 in the afternoon, and you could see all of the activity down here that was projected. I would presume that some of this is supposedly reflecting some of that tornadic activity, although I would think it should be a little bit more widespread and more um, bold, if you will. But now we move things to, here we go. This is 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30. Here's 8 o'clock. We're 15 minutes away from that. And I presume the areas of purple shade, which is about as deep in or as bright in as you can get for showing the intensity of storms here on this particular model, indicating, New Jersey, most of New Jersey, and they are indeed getting hammered right now. So that's 8 o'clock, then 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I guess by 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm going to be right in the thick of it here, because here's the lower Hudson Valley, and you can see that we've got all of this activity going on in the lower Hudson Valley, some activity occurring across Long Island, in the immediate New York City area. But then watch how rapidly, if the RPM model is right, here's midnight, here's 1 a.m., here's 2 a.m. Now, the only ones at 2 a.m. that are really going through agony, if you will, or as Bob Ross, the painter, used to say, agony city, would be Connecticut, most of Massachusetts, maybe a sliver of central or eastern Long Island. But a lot of the stuff in the immediate New York area and points west is now winding on down very quickly. In fact, when we get to, what time is this now? This would be 8:30Z. That would be 4:30 in the morning. You could see that pretty much it's over with now in the immediate New York area, and all the mayhem is going on now across central and eastern sections of New England. If I start the loop here, you can see it all fires up and away as the remnants of Ida go north and east of the area. And we should, again, by daybreak or shortly thereafter, be enjoying the throes of a beautiful, improving day with, again, brilliant sunshine, the atmosphere thoroughly cleansed, no smoke, no haze, lots of sun, a north and northwesterly component to the both surface wind and the upper level wind. We should have a sterling midday and afternoon tomorrow, low 70s, low dew points, a really very nice day, and more of that nice weather looks like for Friday and even on into Saturday, and then an interruption to all of this nice weather maybe by later Sunday, and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, a bit later on.
all right. I've got the HRRR model. When the 18Z HRRR model came out, actually, before we even get to that, just really quick, I'm going to put it up on the screen, but there is something else I think we should look at first. If I can find where it is on my screen, depending on what I did with it. Okay, so I'm going to have to pull it up again. I want to go back to SPC's page because they did issue at least they did. It's gone. Where's the MD? they took it down.
The mesoscale discussion?
Yeah, they had a mesoscale discussion after they issued this tornado watch, and the tornado watch, which is up until, what did you say, 1 a.m., correct? But
For the local area, yeah.
Right. They did send out a mesoscale discussion probably about 30, 35 minutes ago. Now I remember they issued the MD before they issued this tornado watch, saying that tornadoes were, the next 1 to 3 hours would be the greatest risk for tornadoes in this area, and then they popped up the tornado watch. So I guess the MD disappears when they do that. But I wanted to at least call attention to it, and you can see the working tornado watches. There's still 3 of them. The one over the New York metro area, the one that covers the rest of New Jersey and southeast and south central PA, and then the one that's down in Maryland and Delaware over the Delmarva Peninsula. The western edge of that is starting to get chipped away as everything shifts along to the east. The weather was pretty rough, by the way, in North Carolina also from earlier, and most of that has now kind of shifted more toward the coast and offshore, so that's at least good news for them. But the 18Z HRRR, when I saw it, it matched up pretty well with the radar that was going on at the time, but it really, it did the best job. None of these short-range models are going to ever get it exact, but this particular run got fairly close. I mean, certainly in terms of the extent of all the severe weather that you see up in North Jersey, some kind of line. This is for 8 o'clock tonight. This should be on the HRRR. Earlier showed a line moving across South Jersey. We were actually, I think, beginning to see evidence of that developing. And in fact, if you take a look, I can bring up the Fort Dix radar because it's a little easier. But you can see right there, extending down from Trenton and Philadelphia down through South Jersey, there's a developing line of storms, and that stakes down into southern Delaware. So it really did a very good job in terms of picking out the fine details of all of this. And by the way, should also mention the fact that either one of us or both of us could lose power at any time. So if Joe loses power, I'll be here. If I lose power, the show goes away. I think we have a new tornado warning. Let me take a look. I just saw the box come up there. Unless that was one that I had just read and I'm just on a delay. The radars are on about a 5-minute or so delay. So let's see. Let's make sure. I'm going to just go to the Weather Service page and see what they have, because that probably will update. Yep. Let's see. Tornado warning. This is a new tornado warning issued at 7:40. This is for southern Morris, northern central Mercer, north central Mercer, central Somerset, northern Middlesex counties. Confirmed tornado over Rocky Hill, or about 12 miles southwest of New Brunswick, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. This storm has a history of producing strong tornadoes across South Jersey. So it's all part of that same, complex there. Radar confirmed tornado. So that's all the information we have. This is in effect. Let's see, when does it expire? They send it out so quickly that they didn't put an expiration time. No, they just did. There's no expiration time on this. They probably shot it out so quickly. I don't see one.
They forgot.
They put instead of saying this storm, they said this strong has a history of producing strong tornadoes. So obviously somebody was typing it real fast and just wanted to send it out there. So you certainly can't fault them for that.
Get it out, Murphy. They'll understand what we meant.
Right, exactly. Also, welcome everybody onto the show tonight. If you haven't, this is the first time joining the Joe and Joe Weather Show. We're on 5 days a week, usually, and sometimes more if weather conditions warrant, like something like today, for example. Every Monday through Thursday at 7:30 and Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So back to the HRRR, Joe. That South Jersey line, and actually it runs east, and then another line forms around 10 o'clock that runs up and down the state and even heads up into over to you. And this is at 11 o'clock tonight. There's a line of what looks like really fierce-looking storms from the lower Hudson Valley, across New York City, northeast Jersey, and then kind of right down west of the Garden State Parkway, and then moving into Connecticut, western Connecticut, and then points to the east. And you're right from what you said in terms of the timing here. By 2 a.m., it's all done in eastern PA. By 3 a.m., the back edge is right at New York City, and by 6 a.m., it's all offshore and still going big time in southeastern New England. But then by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, it's done there too. And yeah, look at this. This is the payoff that we've been waiting for, is for tomorrow with this wonderful northerly flow. And you know the system's going extratropical because of what we're getting on the backside. It's not like when Henri went away, we were in a tropical air mass ahead of it. We were in a tropical air mass behind it. This is true, cool, dry Canadian air coming in on the backside, and what you would expect behind a post-tropical or extratropical or non-tropical cyclone.
Yes, I certainly hope that, well, if there are any disruptions in terms of people's, power in our area, or where you happen to be, Joe, or wherever you're watching right now, at least one thing that'll be on our side to help get everything back in order will be the weather. I mean, there's sometimes you have storms, they come on through, and then you're stuck with heat, humidity, or another round of showers and thunderstorms, or winds that are very strong and gusty. But at least, the weather is going to turn real nice here for tomorrow, for Friday, and on into, again, the start of the upcoming holiday weekend.
I've got the Ida floater, and now that we're going into past sunset, obviously you could pick out on the infrared. The enhancement of the clouds, Joe, is going on right on top of us. And you can even still see there's blowups down in Delaware, northeastern Maryland, that are moving northeast. So we've got a good 5 hours to go for most of the area from eastern PA to southern New England before this starts to wind down. So it's not just a one shot and done like a cold front with a line of storms, folks. This is going to take a while to chew through.
And about a week ago, we remember when we were watching for the first landfall of Ida along the Gulf Coast, and then extending those spaghetti frogs out, it looked like for a while that Ida was going to take a turn to the right over Virginia and out off the mid-Atlantic coastline. In fact, there were even a couple of guidance models that were trying to take it on a southeasterly course once it got its feet wet over the mid-Atlantic. Of course, that was a week ago. Take those, forecasts, those outlooks with some trepidation, because even after just a few days, things can change. And certainly, whereas last week it looked like, well, a good bulk of this was going to stay to our south, now, obviously, it's not staying to our south. Obviously, now it's coming right up and over the immediate tri-state metropolitan area.
U.S. loop, you can kind of almost reach out and touch the dry air that's over the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley, so you know that's coming here. But you look at the structure of Ida now, and certainly it does still have tropical characteristics, but clearly it looks different in terms of what we saw yesterday. And the process of it becoming post-tropical, actually, it probably would have been less of a problem overall if it just maintained, if it wasn't for the upper trough that was swinging through the Great Lakes. Because it's given it this extra juice, and certainly has allowed it to produce this severe weather, because we've dealt with storms that have gone to our west before. When they come east of the Appalachians, we get the big wind. We knew that was not going to be the case with this, except in the convective activity, which we noted yesterday would be the case. In some of these severe thunderstorms, you're going to get winds of 50, 60 miles an hour or more. But when you're not doing that, the winds have been, and it's gotten a little breezy, but it hasn't, it's not blowing 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 with gusts of 50 and 60 for hours and hours on end. But at least we could see that drier air. You could look at the clouds that are back in western Pennsylvania. What's left of them are moving north to south, the lower clouds. And then, of course, you've got all the tropical moisture. And it's shooting up pretty far up into New England now. You can see it's just streaming there very rapidly. As the floater image, for those of you, the center of the system is in the middle of the picture and stays in the middle of the picture all the way through. It's the geography in the background that moves. So this way you can just sort of look at the clouds in a stationary position while the geography moves. So you can also not only get a good view of what's developing in terms of the strength, but also the motion, which way this is going. And as we said on the advisory, they're carrying east-northeast for the low center at 25 miles an hour.
Jim Veltman, by the way, has sent another link. It's on the chat board, Joe. Another video of it in Burlington. I'm presuming it was the tornadic activity.
All right, let me see if I
think
can.
it's Burlington. I'm assuming it's not Burlington, Vermont.
Right.
It's got to be Burlington, New Jersey.
I'm trying to catch up here on the chats. So, oh, here it goes. Okay, everybody, stop typing. Okay, stop typing for 1 second. I can't get a hold of the link. There we go. Oh, now you can start. Now you can start typing again. So let's see. This is another shot from Twitter, and this is from Cole Pisa at COLEFURD. Sending this shot from Burlington. Look at that. Oh my. Hold on. Let me get that off the screen so you can see it. Look at that, Joe. That's crazy.
Oh, look at, oh. At the end. At
Oh,
the
I know. I
end.
was just thinking the same thing. My God.
Or as the scarecrow say, it's a twister. It's a twister.
It's a twister. We got to see this again. This
Good
was
Lord.
This was crazy.
That's definitely an EF3.
Look at this.
That ain't no F1 or F0.
No,
ladies and
not
gentlemen.
at all. No, that's a 2 or a 3. Look at that. Oh my. I'm stunned to silence here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all you could really say. So thank you, Cole Pisa at Cole FURD for putting this video on Twitter. And I hope you don't mind that we showed it here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
Wow.
Okay, so let me just go back. I'm going back and forth on the local radars. I'm just trying to stay up to date on all these warnings that are coming fast and furious. So I think we're up to date on that. There is that's a special marine warning for Delaware Bay, severe thunderstorm warnings for southern Delaware, and then on the Maryland side, on the Delmarva Peninsula, including Salisbury. So that's part of all of that stuff that's moving to the northeast. I'll tell you, Joe, North Jersey shortly is going to get into these cells that have been producing tornadoes and are moving northeast in the next 20 or 30 minutes, and then eventually that stuff's going to get up to you. So
No, please.
Let's hope it doesn't hold together.
Let's keep it. North Jersey, you could have it. Don't send this way.
All right, I'm going to switch radar views now. I'm going to go to EEX, which I don't know why it's called EEX. I bet you, no, I'm sorry, ENX. ENX is the Albany radar. Used to be ALY. And then, back in the day, it used to be ALB. I don't know what ENX. Oh, Eastern New York. Gotcha. Okay. I just figured it out. Eastern New York. All right, so here's the Albany radar. And you see there's big stuff. Some big cells there just south and west of Albany. Almost looks like a short line there that's on the northern edge of that precip there between Cobleskill and Albany itself. And then it looks like you have moderate to heavy rain all the way down the thruway through Poughkeepsie and then heading down toward Peekskill. And, of course, the southern edge of the radar is not really picking up on the actual intensity that we just saw. But all these flash flood warnings that are now up for Dutchess County, for York County, Joe, for Putnam. I don't know, did they have? Yeah, they got one for you, I think. It's hard to tell the way they got these boxes drawn.
Right. Everything kind of jammed together.
Yeah. I mean, North Jersey was easy because every county in North Jersey was under a flash flood warning. Okay, let's go to the Boston radar and take a look at what's going on there. And we're seeing a band of big storms now moving right through the Boston area, but most of the activity is still to the west and northwest of Boston. In Connecticut, a lot of rain over Hartford, down to New London and back to New Haven. We've got a few embedded thunderstorms in the mix there, running up through much of Massachusetts and into Bill Rogers country in southern Vermont and in southern New Hampshire, and all moving along to the northeast. Let's go to the south. Let's go to LWX radar, which is, I believe, Wakefield, Virginia. And here we have it from the view of the near Washington, D.C. radar. Still getting some flash flood warnings up, but they're kind of on the back edge here. West of Washington, it's all done. And you can see the back edge runs down to about Harrisburg. And that's beginning to pivot to the east. And let's go to central PA, which is CCX. I don't know why they call it CCX, but that's what it is. And yeah, there's the back edge now. So it's out of Williamsport. It's just about getting ready to end at Harrisburg, and it's moving right along. That part of the equation is not going to change very much, folks. The timing of this is pretty much going to happen as advertised. But for New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, southern New England, Long Island, New York City, southeastern New England, and eastern New York, you got a ways to go before this gets out of the way. At least another 5 hours worth.
Yeah, it's one thing I have to hand it to all the model suite for the last couple of days. I said is that this is the time frame from right now, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. for the immediate New York City area. That's when they said we were going to get hammered. And from the looks of the radar and from everything we've seen up to this moment in time, that's pretty much going to be the story for the next 6 hours or so. So let's hope that all of you prepared for the worst, and let's hope for the best.
All right, let's just go to the forecast end of this. And what we'll do is after we run through this, we'll go back and we'll take a look at the latest radars and see if there's anything new with regards to what's happening. But I'll widen out here. We are going obviously into the Labor Day holiday weekend, and it would be nice if one of these holiday weekends turns out okay. And of course, tomorrow and Friday, and I think Saturday all look good. Now, we do have a little bit of a warm front coming through early Sunday morning with some showers, and then a cold front comes through. I think that's what that is. That looks like a warm front to me. And then a weak cold front probably sometime during the evening that doesn't have much with it. The air behind it, there's not a big temperature change, but there is a little bit of a dew point change on Monday. In fact, we get the humidity might go up a little bit on Sunday, but not too bad, and then come back down on Monday. And then much of next week is pretty quiet. On the lower right, you see Hurricane Larry coming on the picture here. It makes it on the GFS to just inside of 60 west, and then it's moving northward and then on up to the northeast. And we'll look at the upper air in a second to show you why. Meanwhile, there is a system in the Southwest Caribbean that's going to eventually get into the Gulf of Mexico, and the GFS does have at the end of this week. It's weak though. There's actually the middle of this is September 8th, so it would be a week from today. It does have a little weak low there in the Western Gulf. It doesn't really develop it very much. It closes a couple of isobars there. I really didn't get any opportunity to look at what the upper air looks like, but it does take something from the Caribbean and moves it up in there, and you can see the little rotation. But it doesn't really get, you want to make a case that the GFS is trying to tell you there's a tropical depression there. Yeah, that could be the case. Another front coming through around September 9th, 10th on the GFS brings another cool high, and Then after that, I think looks like we go into a ridge position for a little while. So let's check the upper air and see if that gives us any insight.
And Joe, even if we do get to, let's say, a 60 or 62 degree dew point by the time we get to the start of next week on Monday, with a return to temperatures at or around 80 or lower 80s, even that is such a lovely change from what we've been dealing with for the better part of the last couple of weeks. And
oh yeah,
it's of course, we're going to get used to these low dew points and the much cooler air coming in tomorrow into Friday and Saturday. So yeah, you'll feel the noticeable rise in the humidity and the temperatures toward the end of the weekend, early next week. But still, even early next week's nothing compared to what we were dealt, and what we've been suffering with over these past few weeks up here.
By the way, troughs on both coasts with a ridge in the middle. That's where we're at. And notice how far south that northerly flow in the east goes. It goes all the way down into northern Florida. So dew point relief is going to extend pretty far to the south, into the southeastern part of the United States the next day or two. And of course, here in the Northeast, with this strengthening upper low over Maine and over New Brunswick, we're fine and dandy, and then that pulls out, but another upper low and trough swing into the east for early next week. And by the way, you can see the upper low that represents Larry is moving west-northwest, and then it gets to 60, and then it starts shooting northward because the trough on Thursday is already swinging to the coast. Hang on, got to get my little pencil up there. There we go. So this next trough for Wednesday night, Thursday is already swinging to the coast. So Larry gets caught up in that, and it turns northward and northeastward. Actually comes very close to Newfoundland. That's a couple of runs in a row now that it's done that, because that trough just picks it up and then hooks it right into southeastern Newfoundland at the end of next week. So for the folks, because we do have people that watch from Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, so you might want to pay attention to Larry well, at least watch the progress of Larry as it moves across the Atlantic. Things have wanted to go left this year, so you want to, I guess you'd want to pay a little attention here. If we're still seeing this idea come Saturday and Sunday, then for sure pay attention. So this trough in the east, Joe, is going to stay with us through the weekend of the 11th and 12th, and then after that, I mean, we do have a ridge that builds in the mid-Atlantic states. The westerlies are just to our north. It doesn't stay long because there's already something else shooting down from the north toward the end of the forecast period. So no heat wave from what we're seeing here.
Right. Well, we've been saying that, June, July had frequent intrusions of dry air from Canada with frequent, because it was such a progressive pattern, that troughs would be passing on through every 3 or 4 days. Saw that pretty much stop for August. Most of those troughs ended up shearing off to the north, keeping all of that nice dry air out of the region. But now, I will be giving thanks to Ida, because Ida is basically a change, a pattern buster, if you will, taking that dry, frequent, progressive type pattern we saw during June and July and bringing it back into September. So that looks like it's going to pretty much preclude any long-term or any protracted spell of heat, haze, and humidity during September. There'll be some periods. Case in point, Labor Day Monday, we'll get up to or even above 80 with dew points in low 60s. Yeah, we'll still see that, but it's not going to take a long stretch, a long run of 8, 9, 10 days. Not with this pattern. This pattern is a quick and fast-moving pattern, and once again, we will be enjoying the periodic intrusions of Canadian air, a mid, or actually now it's a late summer night's dream, Joe.
Yes. Let's run through the local radars one more time here. So here's the Upton radar. I just did a quick check at 8:11 Eastern time, and at least as of this moment, I spoke too soon. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just popped up. It looks like it might be in Somerset County, but before I speak, let me let me go back to the Weather Service forecast page and see if we can catch this. And that was that old tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning is up for in effect until 8:15. Oh, this is the okay. This is the same severe thunderstorm warning that was up for Union County. So they just repeated it. That's what you're seeing, that little yellow box there that pops up, and of course there's some big cells. It's pouring here. I can hear the rain pounding on the roof here in Sound Beach on Long Island, and to my east there's some big cells ripping northward, probably close to east of Rocky Point. Though I'm thinking they're not too far east of Rocky Point, maybe out at about Wading River or so, and Shoreham. Getting ready to move out into Long Island Sound. We still have that tornado warning that is up in New Jersey. I believe that was Hunterdon. Let me again before I don't want to say something wrong here. TORNA. Not that I would ever do that. Hang on. That tornado warning has 2 minutes to go, and this was the one for Mercer, Middlesex, Morris, and Somerset counties. So that's going to expire at 8:15, and we're coming up on 8:15 Eastern time momentarily because it's 8:13 Eastern time. And on the wide radar view, just a couple of other things going on. Not a whole lot of, more typical of the daytime showers and thunderstorms down in parts of southern Louisiana where, people are still, southeastern Louisiana is still without power. There's a strong line of thunderstorms across southern Alabama and central Mississippi that is moving southward, and also in southern Arkansas. And we're seeing some showers up in the Dakotas and also up through the Rockies. And on the tail end in the east, we're seeing some showers and storms in central North Carolina. This doesn't look especially strong here. These storms that are moving through central North Carolina and central South Carolina, those are sort of on the tail end of what's going on here in the Northeast. And some of that rain has now moved into Maine, in the southern corner there of Maine, and that is continuing to advance on up into the Northeast. We have not been doing Briller Jeopardy because we've just been so busy with all the weather going on that we've kind of put it aside for the next few days. So we'll bring that back probably tomorrow
when things get less crazy.
Yeah, it's just been pretty nuts. So, any thoughts? Final, anything you have to say with regards to all of this?
Well, Richard DeBerry on the chat board is asking us, how confident are we about Larry missing New England? He said, remember now, we thought that Henri was going to miss us, and NHC is not committed to Larry missing us in the Northeast, at least not just yet. I think it's a whole different story, though, when we looked at Henri versus Larry. Again, we've got that rather significant upper air flow, which basically is coming out of a northwesterly direction, which will help to deflect Larry or keep Larry away, unless that were to suddenly flatten out or become a more of a ridge, if you will. I don't really see Larry threatening at least our area. It may make the big curve and take a swipe at Newfoundland, but I don't really see anything else of any concern concerning that storm.
Here's the only thing, and I've said this the last couple of days, and I'll say it again tonight. I'm going to bring up the European, because I think the European shows the best example of this. And here we have the upper air for next Wednesday. And what we're seeing, and there are a couple of major differences in terms of what's going on in the upper atmosphere, particularly with the Atlantic Ridge, which is not all that strong. We've been seeing it build all the way back to the coast, and obviously it's not doing that now. And of course, you can see this sort of broad trough on the European next Wednesday. Now, if everything were to remain static, let's say if that trough didn't move, and let's say that ridge didn't move, Larry would probably go around around the ridge and then shoot on out to the northeast. Now, of course, in the world of weather, being static is something that we don't see very often. Now, if you look at what the European does, it drives that trough southward and it picks up, of course, the ridge being weaker. Larry, actually on the European, makes it probably to about 62 or 63, not quite west, not quite to Bermuda, but close. And then it shoots northward from there. And I'm assuming it goes up. I'm assuming that it goes up over Newfoundland and then goes northward because. But the one thing I would just be a little, just pay attention to. One of the things we're going to pay attention to here is, we've seen it happen several times this year where the bottom part of these troughs, you get these early runs of the long range. Look how far south the westerlies go next Thursday. I mean, clear down to Georgia and Florida. Now, we had that happen, but we also had instances where the model was trying to do this. The models were trying to do this, and instead, we wound up with the trough that was stronger to the north and weaker to the south, and then you get the southern half of that trough that just kind of lag back, okay? Now, the other part of that equation, in order to make it a problem, would be if the ridge would have to be stronger and build back westward. Those are the two things that you would look for if you were thinking that, well, could this come closer to New England? Now, the European is trying to actually drop that bottom of that trough down into the Ohio Valley, but the ridge doesn't build back westward, at least not on this run and not on the prior runs. So I would say if we're going to see the Larry come closer, we're going to have to start seeing more significant changes in the structure of the upper air over the next 2 or 3 days. There were hints with Henri that it was going to wind up going westward, and they wound up being correct. So I'd give it another day or two, see if we start to see a repeat of the bottom parts of the trough sort of hanging back. My own opinion is that ridge off the Atlantic, though, is structured differently this time around, and I don't think it's going to be able to build back westward enough to push Larry much further west than, say, 64 or 65. That's my guess right now. That would be an early guess on my part.
But even at that distance, folks will probably have to be aware that Larry certainly will be churning up the waters and causing some rip currents and undertow and that sort of stuff for people who are thinking about getting one last thrill in at the beach or the shore areas. That's probably going to be providing. Larry will probably be providing some churning of the waters. But that's not necessarily bad news for us landlubbers out there. So at the moment, I wouldn't sweat Larry, at least in terms of significant winds or rains or whatever. But maybe some swells on the ocean because of its proximity to the northeast coast.
By the way, I just that tornado warning for Mercer, Middlesex, Morris, and Somerset has expired now with no new warnings up. But let's just check. I'm going to check real quick. Any other questions that you see there on the chat? Because I've kind of lost it here a little bit.
Barry Goldberg says he received his copy of the old Farmer's Almanac today, and he says that the old Farmer's Almanac is forecasting a snowy winter for the Mid-Atlantic area. I've not gotten my copy yet, so I can't make a comment about that. But if you're a snow lover, I guess that's something you can hang your hat on until the actual winter arrives.
By the way, 108 likes. Thank you so much for that. And I see someone hit Super Chat tonight. Unfortunately, I can't see who. So it's not, oh, there it is. Hold on, I just found it. Oh, I'm sorry. So
Robert Russo.
Robert Russo is one. I don't know who the other one is.
And Ken DPW.
Oh, DPW, Department of Public Works. Thank you, Ken, yes. And thank you, Robert, very much for doing that. Now, tonight's poll, Joe, was I asked the following question. Ida was the first major hurricane to hit the United States this year. Will there be a second major hurricane making landfall in the United States before the hurricane season is done? 228 votes tonight, 228 votes. Now, if every one of the people, every person who voted would also just hit the like button at the same time, but that's okay. 123 likes, but 231 votes, 82% of the population said yes, and 18% said no. Two majors in 1 year doesn't happen too often. I mean, it does happen, but obviously you can't have two majors in 1 year until you've had at least one. And it certainly has come early enough in the hurricane season that we could have a second major. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if we did.
Yes, and
It's your never to be humble opinion.
Well, you're right. It doesn't happen too often, but I would suppose, last year I would have said, of course. Well, I mean, we were getting new tropical cyclones like every other day. This year, nature or the tropics seem to be a little bit more selective. But boy, I tell you, they certainly did a number on us with Ida. And yeah, why not? Why not? We're not even to the midpoint of the hurricane season. That'll come officially on, or traditionally on, September the 10th. And we still have then another month until about the 10th of October. And why not?
I saw the clickbait link though somewhere earlier that. And it said this could be the coldest winter in the East in years, and I just had to shake my head. It's like, really, I guess if seriously, they say that every year. They say it every year. So
I think it.
One of these, the last few. I'm sorry, you go.
I think what's going to happen. No, I think what's this is going to be a winter where. Again, there are going to be periods during the winter where it's going to be tranquil and even perhaps verging on mild weather, and then there'll be other periods. Let's say December might be mild, and then that lulls us into a false sense of security, and boom, the bottom drops out of the thermometer, and it turns out to be a cold and snowy January, and then we gradually come out of it in February, and in March we're all set for spring. I mean, it all depends upon what we get. You could have, and we've seen this before, Joe. 2 out of the 3 winter months are mild and tranquil, but all you need is like 1 month's worth of cold and snowy weather to color the minds of so many people and saying, oh yeah, last winter was a really terrible winter. It was cold and it was snowy or whatever. But if that only happens like 1 out of 3 winter months and the other 2 are not so bad, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the funny, and you know what the other funny thing is? All these predictions, they come out now. And when we get to March and April, no one ever makes reference back to them, except for perhaps the almanacs themselves. They make reference to it, how they did.
How they had it all correct.
Correct.
They had it all correct, down to the hour. They had the entire forecast correct. Right. Oh God.
But otherwise, a lot of people are talking about the predictions now. Hardly anybody talks about the predictions in the aftermath in March and April as to how it all turned out. So
I'm texting Bill Goodman, who's on his way to his shift tonight. He has to go in at 9 o'clock at NWS in Upton.
God, what a time to! he's starting his shift right in the middle of the hellfire.
Well,
so
and having to drive in a torrential downpour, which is what I'm experiencing right now.
Right. In fact, I mentioned to Renata tonight at dinner, I said, well, here's one good point about not being employed anymore.
We don't have to drive in it.
It would have meant for you and I to drive in this hellacious weather. I don't know, if it were really bad, would you have, rather than drive all the way back to Long Island,
I
would have just said that gone to your mother's?
I would have stayed at Mother's, yes.
You know what? Since it's such a short trip from where we used to work to your mom's house, maybe I would have said, "You think your mom has room for one more tonight?"
Yeah. By the way, just to get back to the weather for 1 second, I'm going to bring up the radar again, the wide shot, and you'll see all the green boxes. I think every county. Look at this, Joe. Have you ever seen this? This is you don't see too often. But virtually every county in eastern Pennsylvania from north to south is in a flash flood warning. The northern about half the state. I guess the easiest way to describe it, if you're along or north and west of the Turnpike in New Jersey, you're under a flash flood warning. Half of Long Island is under a flash flood warning. The eastern half is not, at least not yet. The lower Hudson Valley and the middle Hudson Valley are all under flash flood warnings, and half of Connecticut is under a flash flood warning. And there's still more rain to go. I'm going to be really curious to see what some of these final rainfall totals are.
Well, if my wife can hear me, maybe she can go over, because yesterday, Joe, I once again I put my life at risk climbing using the giant little ladder, as it's called, climbing the mast and replacing. I finally replaced the weather station that we had for a number of years with a new Davis weather station yesterday. I put that one on the mast because I wanted to see, get some accurate rain totals. And hold on.
We have 1.916.
You heard it, folks.
T minus 6 minutes and counting.
1.91 on the old rain gauge as of 8:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
We just had a this just in moment. This just in.
Yes.
And we both have headsets for that, so we don't even have to do the cup over our ears. This just in.
If you notice here, I've got a wire extending out from my headset, and the reason is that
she can shoot electric volts at you when you say things that you're not supposed to say. That's what that wire's for.
No. It's 15 minutes ago I started getting a beep, which indicates, I presume, that my battery was running down. And so long as I can reattach the charging wire to the computer, it's now charging while I'm talking. So that's, otherwise I would probably have lost you by now.
Oh, well, it's good that you're plugged in.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Indeed.
All right, so we were coming up on 8:30 Eastern time, folks. So enjoy the next 5 hours while this stuff is still go 4 or 5 hours. It does end. The one good thing about these storms, they all have a finish. They don't last forever, but it's going to be another rough 4 or 5 hours ahead of you, and a little bit longer than that if you're in southeastern New England. But just hold on as long as you can, because the payoff will be some really delightfully dry air that comes in tomorrow and will be with us for Friday and for the start of the Labor Day weekend. So
I got to tell you something. I have in my garage, I have a 10.1 inch Dobsonian telescope, not a small instrument, I might add. And I also have a pair of big binoculars, 25 by 100s. You don't hold those. You have to mount them on a heavy duty tripod. And the weather, Joe, as you are well aware, because of all the haze and the smoke and everything else that's been thrown at us this summer, has been so crappy. Yes, I will use that term, crappy. I really haven't had the urge to take, but the way the weather is looking for tomorrow night, with the clarity and transparency and the clean air that is going to be building in behind Ida, I just may finally take my telescope, my binoculars out, and just enjoy the sky tomorrow night. And thank you also to, let me go back, it's already past me, Pat BFD. Happy anniversary, Joe R. Yes, today is Renata and I's anniversary. We have been in wedded bliss for even longer than the Mertzes, believe it or not, Joe. The Mertzes, Ethel and Fred were married for what, 25 years?
Well, it depends, because I think they had their 20th anniversary in the first season. There was an episode, it was their anniversary. Do you remember when Ethel comes into the kitchen and says to Lucy, tomorrow is our wedding anniversary, and Lucy says, yours and Fred's? And she says, no, mine and Gregory Peck's. But then I think on another episode, they said that they were married, like 2 years later, they were suddenly married 25 years. It was just really...
Well, they were on the cruise, on the Constitution.
Yeah,
they were celebrating.
It was really, yeah, some things were not, timed out correctly. They just massaged the script, when it was, suited them.
And the Cramdens, Ralph and Alice, they've been married for like 15. Renata and I easily beat Ralph and Alice and Fred and Ethel and even Ricky and Lucy. Today we have been married 37 years.
Wow.
37 years, Joe. That blows my mind. And we first met at the private weather office that we used to work at. That was like 4 years prior to that. So we've known each other now for over 40 years. And today was number 37 in the anniversary list. And all I will say is my hair was very, very dark brown before I got married.
Correct.
And then came the kids and everything else. And well, there you see what time does after all those years.
Enjoy your evening, because I'm sure you have, things to do like watch Perry Mason and Green Acres.
Well, that's it. That's if we still have Power by Perry Mason tonight at 11:30. Otherwise, it'll just be dark.
Yeah, we're testing fate here, the both of us, because we're still on. So why don't we say goodnight while we still can? So thank you very much for being here tonight. Welcome to all the new viewers to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Hope you liked it. Hope you hit the like button tonight, and hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button there, because it doesn't cost you anything, and you get notifications whenever Joe and I do the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And by the way, since I didn't do this at the beginning, I probably will do it now. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show, as it is every night on YouTube here, is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number there, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. And also brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs, whether you want your home decorated for the holidays or maybe you want to decorate your neighbor's home for the holidays and get paid for it. Well, they're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, and the phone number there, 631-957-5106, and the website is liholidaylighting.com.
I will say one thing for Tim Veltman, who asked twice on the chat board, anything unusual in astronomy. I will say this, it's a slight chance. Again, I want to stress that, slight chance, but apparently the sun got very active a couple of days ago, and there was some kind of a magnetic filament that erupted on the sun, and there was a modest solar flare, and there's some talk that there may be some kind of activity in terms of aurora. It probably would be confined to Canada and Alaska and those areas, but every once in a while it gets a little bit stronger than what is predicted, and sometimes the aurora works its way, the visibility of an aurora works its way south. If that happens, it might happen tomorrow night. That would be perfect timing because we got such beautiful weather moving in tomorrow night. I would love to see that happen, to have a display of the northern lights, kind of, our payback for putting up with all this heat, humidity through August and all of what we're dealing with right now. So let's see what happens tomorrow night. Otherwise, Joe, no Briller Jeopardy tonight. Maybe we'll do it on tomorrow night's show at 7:30.
Yeah, we'll bring it back tomorrow night. Okay. Everybody, have a great night. Stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Nighty-night. Nighty-night.